Hi and welcome to the Windows 8 videos. In this video what I'm going to do is explain to you how Windows 8 works. I know you probably understand how computers work, but what I'm trying to do is give you an understanding of what they've done with Windows 8 that's different to, let's say, Windows 7 or XP or Vista. What you're looking at here is what's called the Metro interface. The thing you need to understand with Windows 8 is that it comes in two flavors. So you've got the full version and the half version, so to speak. Windows RT is the half version and it's designed for tablets. It's the same experience as a smartphone or an iPad or something like that. The interface is exactly like what you can see here, and this is what they call the Metro interface. And then you have the full version. And the full version looks exactly like this, except you have what's called a desktop. So behind the Metro interface you have your full normal computer like you would Windows 7. So what we're looking at now is a tablet computer, and you can see that it has the Metro interface and there is no desktop that you can access. This is all you can access. All of these apps that run on this tablet is all that you have, and you can download more apps by clicking on the green box and going to the store. And any of the apps that you download are designed to run in this Metro area. So this is a simple operating system. Now what we can see in this slide is Windows 7. So this is what you may be familiar with. You press the start button and you can start all of your programs, and all your programs run on your computer here normally. Now let's have a look at the Windows 8 desktop. You can see that the Windows 8 desktop looks exactly the same. However, it's missing one vital part, and that's the start button in the bottom left. So you might be thinking, okay, how do I start my programs? Well, the way you start your programs is with the Metro interface. Now don't forget, the full-blown version of Windows 8 is essentially the half version put together with Windows 7 to make Windows 8. And this can sound very confusing. You've got the Metro interface, which is essentially a operating system or a computer on its own that you can install apps into, and then you can click on this desktop box and go through to the desktop. However, what you need to be aware of is that there are sometimes two versions of the same program. One's called an app and one's called a program. So in the Metro interface, what we typically have there are apps from the Microsoft App Store. And then you've got your full programs, which are part of the full version of Windows. The apps run in the half version of Windows under the Metro interface, and programs run under the full version of Windows. And I'll show you what I mean right now. What we're looking at here is the Metro interface on my version of Windows 8. You can see here I've got two OneNotes. So I've got Microsoft OneNote 2010 and what's called OneNote. These are two versions of the same program. Now OneNote is just a program Microsoft have that allows you to manage all of your notes and create notebooks and different sections and pages. It's quite a brilliant program. This version is what's called an app. Now the apps download from the App Store, and this is a free version. So it gives you the ability to do what you need to do, and it's essentially a half version. So if we go in and have a look, you can see here that you can operate it, but it's actually best to operate this via touch. So if you have a tablet, that's where this version is really going to come into its own, and you can also run this version on your Windows phone if you have that as well. Now if I go and have a look at the full version and I start that, you can see that I've got the same sort of information, but it runs under the desktop. I've got a lot more features. So this is essentially the full program that you would get as part of Microsoft Office. Now you would need to purchase this version of OneNote. It doesn't come free. And this version will not run under the Metro interface or Windows RT, and it will not run on a Windows phone. So it's just something to be aware of. You have two versions. You have the half version or the Metro interface version, which is optimized for touch. And then you have the full version, which is a program that you can install on Windows 7 as well as Windows 8. So it's best to understand it as a half version and a full version. And this is why I think so many people struggle with it, because it's so confusing. They've removed the start button and forced us to go through this Windows Metro interface to access the programs that we would have normally accessed. But unless you're very familiar with computers, you don't know whether you're running the full version or the half version basically of a program. So my advice to you, if you're getting started, is to get rid of the Metro interface, and we can do that simply by installing a program called Start 8, which gives us back our start button on the desktop and means that we do not have to go into this Metro interface ever unless we choose to. And this is really the best way to work with Windows 8 because Windows 8 on its own is actually a very good operating system. It's much faster than the previous versions of Windows. So you'll see in some videos I talk about the Metro interface and the programs that run in the Metro interface, and then you'll see some programs go into the desktop area, but they're different versions, which doesn't really help with people's confusion. You have the desktop area, which is essentially your old version of Windows, and then you have the Metro area, which is another version of Windows, but it's like a half Windows. And to use your computer, you have to use this Metro interface, and it gives you access to the Metro apps and the full Windows programs. Another way to look at it is like this. Previously in Windows, what we would do if we needed to run a program, we would just go down and access the Start button, and from here we can get access to all of our programs or any of the controls of the computer. Well, with Windows 8, they've changed that. They've removed the Start button and instead they've replaced it with the Metro interface. So if you go down into the bottom left, you now have this interface, and if we go into that, instead of it popping up as the Start button, it now goes into this Metro interface, and now you've got all your programs in here, and you can right click and go to all apps, and you can see all the different programs and areas that you can go to configure your Windows machine. But in addition to that, they've created apps that can run exclusively in this area, which are optimized for touch. This whole interface is optimized for touch. So essentially they've almost given you two computers in one. They've given you this Metro interface which you can run apps in, and then you've got the full version behind it, which is part of the desktop, which you can run full programs. So I hope that gives you a better understanding of how Windows 8 is put together. Windows 8 is basically Windows 7 minus the Start button, which has been replaced by the Metro interface, which gives you the added ability to run apps. So I hope that explanation has helped you understand Windows a little bit. I also recommend you watch my video on getting your Start button back, because what we'll do is get rid of the Metro interface and use Windows normally as it should be, and then you have the option to go to this Metro interface if you like. You're not forced to use it.